Well, as reported in the Sunday press, Graham Taylor's latest selection offers further opportunity to several players who a year ago would not have been part of the England picture. But now the likes of number 4, Carlton Palmer, number 6, Martin Keown, number 7, Tony Daly, and number 11, Andy Sinton, must be virtually certain of their places in the squad for Sweden, which Taylor will provisionally announce tomorrow. And on the England subs bench, it looks as though Stuart Pearce is going to be OK for the European Championships. He's named among the subs today, although he hasn't played since the end of March. Now, as for Brazil, they're without up to 8 of their European-based stars, but 4 others are in the starting lineup. Apart from Branco, there's number 3, Moser, who plays with Trevor Steven at Marseille, and 2 experienced men from Paris Saint-Germain, number 4, Ricardo, and number 11, Valdo. The team is captained by number 10, Rai, the younger brother of the former Brazilian captain, Socrates. English company, and it's David Platt on the ball in the centre circle wearing number 9. Andy Sinton starting out there on the left. Number 3, Moser for Brazil. They've lost it already. That was a good break, and Palmer coming through to support Lineker right at the start. And the services of Fred Street, the England physio, making his 200th appearance in that capacity, required immediately, Trevor.
Well, it's a great concern, I would think, because Carlton Palmer over the last 2 or 3 games has come through, I think, to be quite a key man in the English midfield. And the fact he laid down very prone, didn't he, as soon... It just ran away from him a bit. He, as you see, he stretched to get the shot in, and then it has slid in to the defender's studs, and it's just remained very still since. But it's when he was following through, it just come into the studs, 2-footed tackle.
And concern here for Graham Taylor in the first minute of the game. And there's Renato on the far side, number 9. Something of a controversial figure in Brazilian football, with a playboy image, but a skillful player. The man at the back is Ricardo, number 4. This is Rai, the captain, number 10. 7 is Bebeto, back to Rai. Number 11, Valdo. Bebeto. Nice effort by Bebeto. The top scorer in the Brazilian Championship so far this season, with 13. It's just approaching the halfway stage over there. But now, the England number 7, Tony Daly, breaks at the other end. Mauro Silva is number 5. And he wanted help from Valdo, Trevor Steven. Gary Stevens. Lineker with his arm up in the centre. Ran onto him and tried to tuck it back in to Sinton, who actually made the original dummy. Bebeto. And again, Luis Carlos, the right back, is the spare man. Rai. There's a foul, surely, by Platt. And Rai quickly to Branco. No surprise about him shooting from there. And Wood scrambles it round. Corner to Brazil. Number 4, Ricardo, is up, and Moser has come from the back as well, number 3. Well, the big fellas didn't get much chance there. It's Valdo again, they might now. And that was Rai at the near post. There are 6 brothers in the family, and he's the youngest. And he was the sharpest in that situation. Here's Gary Stevens. Now is Lineker onside? He is! And out comes Carlos, penalty! Lineker will surely have the chance now to equal Bobby Charlton's record. He earned the penalty himself. himself. A through ball by Gary Stevens. Lineker beats the offside tap according to the linesman, and Carlos, well, he's done that before. You may remember Mexico '86 when he did it to a Frenchman. But whether or not the Brazilians agree, the referee saw that as a penalty offence. Carlos claiming he went for the ball. But this is all about not the Brazilian protests, but a possible England landmark for the captain. Gary Lineker, the penalty taker, on 48 England goals, needs to put this in the back of the net to equal the all-time record. The Brazilians clearly upset. Lineker needs to hold his nerve. A moment of drama at Wembley that could become a moment of history. Oh dear me, he absolutely fluffed it. The nerves got to him, and Carlos hardly had to make a save. Lineker, on the threshold of equalling the record, scuffed the shot.
Well, he tried to dummy the goalkeeper, didn't he? And look for Carlos to dive and then just float it into the middle of the goal. I remember seeing him do one against Forest. It's not such a good idea if the goalkeeper doesn't move, though. And he didn't go that far, the keeper. It nearly sneaked in, but it was a risky sort of penalty when you're looking to equal Bobby Charlton's record.
Here's Platt for England to Trevor Steven. Gary Stevens, whose pass set that up. Dorigo. Floated towards Trevor Steven. I suppose we have to also ask, was it a penalty?
Well, I'm sure Gary Lineker wasn't complaining the fact he got it, but to me it was a bit dubious. I would blame the goalkeeper, Carlos. First I thought he was a bit slow coming out, and then if you make any sort of contact with a striker, and Gary Lineker would have felt him and went down, then you are asking for the penalty, and I think he encouraged. The linesman didn't give it. It was the referee who was trying to catch up with play, and the linesman who was closer didn't lift his flag. So I think from England's point of view it was a bit fortunate, but in the end it doesn't matter, does it, because he missed it.
Right. Moser looks for Bebeto. Nice ball and beautifully controlled. This is Renato, number 9. Gets it back again from Valdo. Renato. Valdo. It's coming to Branco. Storming outside them. Luis Enrique coming in. Sinton. Good pace from Andy Sinton. He went past 3 of them there. Brilliant run. Now it's Lineker. He's got Daly and Platt to his right, number 9. Still Platt. And a break on, perhaps, for Bebeto of Brazil. That's Enrique trying to collect it. It's going to come to Valdo. Mauro Silva. Rai. Enrique. Free kick against him. Good run by Andy Sinton just then, Trevor.
Would have done him a lot of good, Andy Sinton. Possibly today playing the John Barnes role out wide.
Alan Ball on the front row there of the England bench, sharing a thought with Graham Taylor. Here's Sinton. That comes off Luis Carlos. That's a corner to England. Corner produced the winning goal the last time Brazil came to Wembley, if I'm not mistaken. They'll be looking here for a possible flick on from Keown or Palmer. Moser and Carlos together. Lineker's there, and volleyed away by Luis Carlos. Goalkeeper inspiring no confidence at all there. This is Trevor Steven. And it's a free kick to England. There's Platt. Dorigo's following up. Nearly collected that. And Platt gets it back from Mauro Silva. Des Walker. England having all the play. Palmer's now in the penalty area, away by Moser. Rai. Now they've got a break on. Luis Enrique, number 8. Going at Walker, finds Renato. Rai's in there, it's running on, and Bebeto! A goal for Brazil! Number 7, Bebeto! Didn't need asking twice about putting that away. A good finish from the number 7. As Renato crosses from the right, the England defence, well, Rai's attempted scissor kick, span off Gary Stevens, and Bebeto drove it in the near post.
Yeah, Renato's cross, and it tries a scissor kick there right, which distracts Gary Stevens, and then Bebeto sat up nice, didn't it? It was a good chance, and he tucked it away in the corner.
Jubilation for the Brazilian contingent in the crowd. And Gary Stevens, an unlucky deflection, setting it up for Bebeto. Here's Dorigo for England. 27 minutes gone. 1-0 to Brazil. Daly. Well, they think highly of Bebeto in Brazil. He's once or twice, Sinton. Bebeto once or twice has not quite fulfilled his promise. He's still playing in his own country for Vasco da Gama in Rio. And that ball from Rai almost puts in Luis Enrique. And Sinton forward, hoping to find Lineker. Brazil have only won at Wembley once. That was in 1981 when Zico scored the only goal. Today they lead 1-0 through Bebeto. Dorigo into Lineker, swinging it out to Gary Stevens. Keown. Well played. Daly. Valdo. Here's Bebeto. Oh, look at the space there. If he'd run forward rather than try to pass, he had acres there, Trevor.
Well, that's the problem that England are facing. That's how the goal came. They broke through the middle. And when you have the flat back four, and as is happening, Renato quite often is up by himself. And Bebeto is flitting around between the midfield and the front men. You can't afford to have an England back four only marking one. They have to push into midfield. They're getting outnumbered in the midfield area.
Here's Branco. Number 11, Valdo. And the challenge comes from Daly. Corner to Brazil.
This was the go. It was Enrique who made the break. Then Renato clips it across and just bounces off Gary Stevens. He won't thank us for showing that again, I don't think.
And he's found Luis Enrique. Oh, it's a good turn by him. It took him clear of Tony Dorigo. Here's Moser. Valdo. Into Bebeto, the goal scorer. Tried to return it to Valdo. Here's Luis Enrique. Bebeto. Rai. Here's Renato. Oof. It was Enrique that came in behind Bebeto. Rocastle. Webb. And again. Forward towards Lineker. Chalets' bad header. David Platt was there, and England have equalised. equalised. It's David Platt taking it beautifully, but a bad mistake by the Brazilian substitute who put the ball in his path. It's Platt's first England goal for quite a while. Webb played the ball in, Chalez's header right across his own box, and a good volley by David Platt makes it 1-1 in the 49th minute.
I mean, that's where he's at his best, coming deep into the penalty area, picked his spot, kept it down well, and one of the first forward creative passes from Neil Webb. All right, it didn't exactly find Gary Lineker, but it panicked the Brazilian defence, and a bit of subtlety just for a change, and perhaps that little trio might be the trio that can add that attacking flair that England perhaps do lack and have got to find in the European Championship.
His last goal was against Argentina here last May. Also, we've got to give Neil Webb an assist on that goal. It may not have been quite where the pass was supposed to go, but it certainly panicked his ball forward, the defender into an error. So Webb comes on to make an immediate impact, and here's Enrique for Brazil. Onside, Renato. Oh, Rai! It hit an English player. They appeal for handball, but it's going to be a corner, but it was an opportunity for Brazil here to go back in front.
Well, Gary Stevens at the far side playing them on, and I mean, he should have scored, but it was Gary Stevens who did well to block it.
Headed back in. Oh, and Woods didn't collect that first time, but grabbed it the second. And he found Rocastle. And the game is opening up now for sure. Gary Stevens has gone thundering down the right wing. Tony Daly trying to find him. Enrique to Renato. Chalez charging down the right. There's Enrique again. Oh, it wasn't a good clearance by Keown. Bebeto to Rai. Valdo. Corner. Straight to Bebeto, and good number of players defending the goal there. It was Palmer that got the ball clear, but England are rocking a bit here as Brazil move up a gear after conceding the equaliser. Chalez, Renato. Renato. Rai again. Oh, and Woods turning it away.
He's had a good game, Chris Woods. Made some couple of good saves early on, and that one then, although it was a nice height, Rai hit it well. Good angle, just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Good position.
Valdo takes the corner. There's Moser. This is Renato, and now it's Bebeto. That's an awkward one, and it was Ricardo, the number 4, who... Webb. And again. And here's Renato. Enrique is going ahead of him now into the gap. Stevens was on his way back. Brazil breaking well again here. Enrique still. Oh, and Woods turns it round, but what a good run and shot by this Inspirational little number 8.
Great little play he is. That was going in. That was a very good save by Chris Wood, because coming in like that, chances are you think you go for the far post, but he reacted very well. What a good all-round midfielder he is.
They always produce somebody new, don't they, the Brazilians? He's 23, plays for Palmeiras in Sao Paulo, and he'll be attracting the attention of the Europeans today, there's no doubt about that. Corner to Brazil. Back in by Branco. Renato's onside, but he just wants so many touches. Bebeto. I can't believe how long Renato wanted to take over the shot. If he just middled it at the start, it would surely have been a goal, wouldn't it?
I think it was one of those where it would come down. It seemed to be too high in the air. Whether he could have just tried to lob it and flick it over Chris Woods. But he's got good skill, isn't he? I mean, he's not the quickest, but he seems to have one of those touches that as soon as the ball comes to him, it looks as if he's got a bit of string keeping it on his foot.
Bebeto's made a forward run here away from Des Walker, and out comes Woods. It's risky, this by the goalkeeper. And Bebeto puts it back into the open 6-yard box, and only Keown. No Brazilians there, and Woods is rescued.
He did very well because he didn't touch Bebeto, unlike the Brazilian goalkeeper who came charging out stupidly. Bebeto was running away from the goal. He knew as long as he pushed him wide, there was no chance of him scoring. It was good goalkeeping.
But it's very much Brazil's period of the game, this. There's Martin Keown just getting the ball out. Good defensive cover by England, of course. And Branco will now take the corner. That's an easier one for Woods.
Yeah, he's had a good match. Probably one of the more indifferent games I've seen Des Walker have. He's sort of not quite made the tackles one always associates. I mean, he's such a key man with England. I suppose he's due an odd bad day, but today, you know, hasn't quite been able to pick up the runners as normally. I'm sure it'd be as well to get this one out of his system.
Here's Platt. Forward run by Palmer. Oh, and they got mixed up, the Brazilians, and Ricardo drove the ball into the oncoming England player, who was Lineker.
Well, you'd have to ask the Brazilian goalkeeper if he's calling to his defenders, because they've had one or two mix-ups, and he's only got a shout, and it's his ball, but Branco touched it, then it was ricocheted into Gary Lineker's face. That would have been a good way to equal Bobby Charlton's record.
2 more England substitutions. Going off, Tony Daly and Tony Dorigo. And coming on, Stuart Pearce and Paul Merson. And a happy return this for Stuart Pearce, who was injured here in the Zenith Data final at the end of March, playing for Forest against Southampton. And Pearce comes on wearing number 15 to prove his fitness for the European Championship.
Welcome sight for Graham Taylor, because great respect to Tony Dorigo. Stuart Pearce is an inspirational man, isn't he, in the England team, and good to see him back a little bit earlier than perhaps even Graham Taylor might have thought. I felt that you would have to name him the squad but then play him in Finland, but to get a little run out today is excellent. Merson coming on to play sort of wide on the left instead of Tony Daly, who hasn't had one of his better matches, and perhaps Merson getting a chance now in what I think is his better role. He has played down the middle the last couple of occasions.
Here's Renato, who's just at times so casual. You think what he would have been like if he could have matched his skill with application. Missed out on 2 World Cups effectively because of that. Here's Merson. Pearce. Yes, again, Merson making the run for him this time. Now here's a moment of some sentiment by the Brazilians. Renato is going off to give number 17, Junior, the chance to say farewell perhaps to a stage such as this. The great World Cup player of 82 and 86, now 37, comes on to a big reception from the Brazilian contingent. Platt. Stevens out to Palmer. Keown. Well, Keown was obstructed as he went for the return pass from Webb. It was Branco who was the offender. And England have a free kick. Merson waiting to come in, as is Platt. Keown, Pearce, Platt, Junior. What a good pass. And if it goes left, England are in terrible trouble. It's Paulo Sergio free. Bebeto comes short. Square of him is Valdeir. And it's quite a straightforward catch for Chris Woods. Mind you, they don't want to be opened up like that too often. Certainly not in the European Championships. This is Pearce. Webb. Junior. 13, Chalez. Rai had a fairly quiet second half, the captain, but made good ground there from midfield. Will he go further on still? It's still Rai. What a good ball for Bebeto. Was he offside? Well, the Brazilians look long and hard at the Scottish linesman about that. On the near side here, William Young, the linesman, raised his flag. As the ball is played there, well, it's tight, Trevor Brooking.
Very close. I'm just glad it was at the other end and we were disallowed. I mean, because level is onside. You know, I wouldn't like to have said good run by Wright. Just as you said, he'd been at a quiet second half. That was the obvious cue for him to set up a winner. But fortunately, the Scottish linesman was on the spot, and again, we were relieved to get away with it.
Here's Junior. Bebeto, though, has had a good match, number 7. And that's for Valdeir, number 18. What a great backheel to Chalez!
Nothing you can say about that, is there? Chalez, that just about sums up his second half, I think, since coming on the set. What good ball there from Bebeto. What a super backheel that sets him up. And look at the square ball there. The man just pulls out the square across the face, decided to go for glory. I mean, it should get it on target. It was a bad miss, wasn't it?
Now, what about a summing up of this afternoon's England performance, Mr. Brooking?
Well, as I say, one or two queries I would have thought, rather than perhaps positive ideas to come out. I think Neil Webb has done well enough in the second half as a creative pass to warrant perhaps first selection. So it's a case, David Platt is obviously going to be the second man. I would have thought Carlton Palmer, because of his defensive duties, would perhaps be ahead of Trevor Stevens. So it's a case now whether Trevor Stevens could come in as one of the wide players rather than one of the 3 central midfielders, and whether Graham Taylor decides away from home in a European Championship, Gary Lineker, you know, should play up by himself with David Platt joining. And defensively, probably it's been the sort of most uncertain of England displays that I've seen for a little while. I've always felt the goal scoring is a problem. Defensively, we don't look as if we give much away, although today it hasn't been one of our best, although Chris Woods in goal has played very well.
Forward by Junior, looking for Valdeir. Paulo Sergio in support, and also Bebeto here. Nice touch back to Rai. And wide of him is Paulo Sergio. Bebeto's there, and Brazil make a late attempt to win the game. In the 3rd minute of stoppage time, the ball whizzing across the face of the England goal.
Good interchange again. Bebeto featured, just needed the faintest to touch it, but England defended well enough, and I think that could be the last little flurry of this game.
So, England won, Brazil won in the Wembley sunshine. That means Bebeto's goal in the first half cancelled out by the equaliser early in the second from David Platt. And for Graham Taylor, whose 20th match in charge this was today, still just the one defeat.